Hello, 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 and welcome to another one. My name is Asherah, and welcome to my very, very unique PhD research study, where I am researching dissociative identity disorder known as DID with psychosis, and I'm comparing that with conscious expansion, basically Kundalini awakening, spiritual ascension, whatever you want to call it, to be fair, but basically just very much about coming to understanding more about the spiritual and esoteric community. As mentioned prior in other videos, if you haven't seen them, there's quite a few up by now. I am both the researcher and the subject, and what that means is that I'm conducting the research into the topic while also being the subject, assessing my own mental health and spiritual awareness as I go on. So where I am right now, I'm actually in Peru, and I came to Peru on the 14th, and today is the today is, can't even see that because of the light in it. Today is Thursday the 15th of January 2026, and it's just gone 1 minute past 5 in the afternoon, and you can hear the crickets or whatever they are, God only knows, literally in the Amazon rainforest, or jungle as they like to say, on a retreat called the Hummingbird. We've just had our catch-up session. It started at 2:30 and we've only just finished, and they've given us an hour to go and get some rest, and then at 6 o'clock we go into meditation, and then at 7 o'clock we take our first cup of the ayahuasca plant-based medicine, which is one of the most, or the most significant psychedelic plant-based medicine that you can take. It's illegal in the UK, and I think it's illegal in America, to be fair, at least some parts of America, because there's some people here from America, but there's also a man here from Brazil that joined our party today, and he jumped in our minibus basically with Marco. Marco's from America, and then there's 4 of us from the UK, including my shaman teacher, or practitioner trainer I should say. So I just want to talk a little bit about that, and I also want to just talk about how the day has been so far. So when we did the just over an hour drive from Iquitos, I think it's pronounced, or Iquitos. Anyway, Iquitos, I'm going to say. Took just over an hour. Then we had to walk about 15-20 minutes because the ground is so soft because it's been raining heavy for the past 3 days, apparently. So we walked down, came into the centre, we all met up, we had some lunch. After lunch, we got some free time, so I actually went for a swim. The water looks so brown and dirty, but it's actually quite clear. And it's got hot patches and cold patches, so you're just standing up in the water, which just feels like slush under the ground. Like, honestly, it's not for everybody. And as you're kind of swimming around or treading water or whatever you're doing, because you really don't want to touch the ground because it's literally that soft mud, feels so weird. But there's hot patches and cold patches throughout the water and on top, so you're literally trying to get your bum and everything else in a hot patch before a cold patch comes and gets you. But I had a really nice time in the water. Me and one of the girls were in there just chit-chatting away about some really profound divine masculine stuff, so that was really nice. And then we heard the drum go, and it meant that we need to go into the meeting, which we did at 2:30. And then when we was in the meeting now, the guy who owns the place, Jim, went through the whole procedures of the ceremony. Went through, I think that's a little baby lizard I'm looking at, It went through the whole procedures of the ceremony, what to expect, what not to expect, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what to do, what not to do, what we might experience, what we might not be experiencing, if we need help during the ceremony, like literally everything. I'm just going to get in the blankets because I'm supposed to be resting now. Oh. Apologies. Watch me lock it up and start again. For Christ's sake. Yeah, so that was interesting. And then they just says that we could get some rest. Because I went in the water, I wanted to shower. So I showered, got back to my room, brought a bowl because I need to have water to wash my hands. Because if I ever show you, why does my eyelash look like that? It looks a little bit pronounced, doesn't it? Probably because it's wet. I think it's wet, clustered together. Alright, let me not overthink it. Okay, so they said I went in that not dirty water, that brown water, and went in the shower. Showers are cold. Showers are cold. And then I got back here and I was like, you know what, I might as well just do my plant-based shower now, because I'm not going to want to be warm and then have to go out and have another cold shower, pouring all this green plant-based water over me. So I went back out and I went in the shower, picked up my bowl, which has already been prepared for us. So there's 6 out there, so I've taken 1. Went back in the shower. You got to pour. There's a little small bowl in a big bowl. So there's a big green bowl and then a small yellow bowl. And you just use the yellow bowl and tip it all over you, but from head to toe. So I washed my face first and then did the rest of my body, did my feet. It was actually quite nice. When I say it smells like perfume, it smells like, I can't even explain it. Considering it's plant-based, it shouldn't smell so sweet. You know what I mean? But it does. It smells sweet. It smells like perfume, basically. It smells like a perfume. So that's what I smell like. Some type of perfume. Which is nice. So I done all of that and then came back. By the time I walked back from the shower to my room, I was dry. And he said not to deliberately dry yourself. Just dab yourself with a towel or just dry naturally. But like I said, by the time I walked back and got here, I was dry. So I put my pajamas on, put some socks on, so my feet feel toasty, my body feels toasty, and I feel nice and clean. And I bought 2 bowls of water because the toilet doesn't flush. They don't have flushing toilets here. So it's literally some type of sand or whatever. So you use the toilet and then you just put the sand on top of whatever you've gone to the toilet, whatever, and done. And then once you've done that, they're coming sort it out, basically, random in it. But there aren't any flushing toilets apparently, and there's no running water in the room for you to wash your hands. So I've got a purple bowl in here up there for washing hands, and I've got a yellow bowl by the front door for washing my feet before I come in here. Because I'd just die if I tried to get in this bed with the kind of mud that's out there. Honestly, I wouldn't survive, man. What kind of madness is that? I don't know what everybody else is doing, and I don't really business. But I know for me that's the drill. But I was able to sit down with Jim at the end because the conversation that we had with Jim from 2:30 was really interesting. And we also got to meet the other shaman too. And he came in and said hello to us. And then, yeah. So then I was talking to Jim about, I was talking to Jim about 2 things. I was letting Jim know that I have used plant-based medicine, or I do use plant-based medicines, which on the website it did say to talk to him about it. And I use all different types of herbal plants too, even one that he mentioned called Valeria. I smoke that rather than drinking it, but it is very good for your nervous system. It's good for anxiety and stress and stuff like that. It's good to just regulate you emotionally, really. And then obviously marijuana, tobacco, etc. Obviously, since I've been on the ayahuasca diet for the last 3 weeks, I've not touched anything. I just found out yesterday when I was at a restaurant with the girls that you can actually eat chicken and beef. You just can't eat pork. I haven't touched none of that. I ain't touched none of that meat at all. Even today, knowing that I could eat chicken, I still never touched chicken. But what I did do today for breakfast, I had an omelette, and that was my first egg since I've been on the diet. So I've really just been plant-based with a little bit of fish since I've been here. And I think it's been the best thing for me because I used to be a pescatarian for 20 years, you know what I mean? So I know the benefits of not eating meat. But when my ancestors told me in 2020, what was it, 2021? 2021, the Christmas of 2021, my ancestors were like, buy up bare meat, we need you to eat meat so you can ground yourself. And I did. And I did need grounding because I was spiritually flying off the fucking ground, man. So the meat really helped bring me down, lower my vibration basically. So now that I'm not consuming meat during this ayahuasca, I can feel vibrationally, the vibration is different. But I've also been crying a lot. I've been crying and purging, and I've been pissing like there's no tomorrow, man. Even on the plane, my God, nightmare. Even when I got off the plane, I'm like, fuck me, man, come on. I literally couldn't even get from one place to the other without needing the toilet. And it's been pretty much more the same since I've been here. But not since I've been at the centre. I meant in Peru, to be fair. But they said it's just all detoxing, like your body just purging and getting prepared for the medicine. And I feel like I'm already in the zone. So anyway, I spoke to Jim about the plant-based medicine, mentioned it to him. He said, no problem. Everybody's going to start on the same dose, and the first dose is 25. Anyway, 25 mil, I believe. And then he wants to up it. So he's saying by day 3, he's gonna basically knock us all out, and then send us home. I said I'm down for the ride. You know what I mean? Fuck it, I'm not scared. There's a guy here from Brazil. He's taken ayahuasca. He said 100 times, to be fair, but he's here for a month. So tonight he's gonna start on 10 mil, while everybody else does 25 mil. And I also spoke to Jim about you know how it says that the spirit will just come in sometimes, and it's almost subconscious, and that I've recorded myself in my sleep. You'll see it on one of these videos, and my body is moving while I'm sleeping. And he says to me, the essence of it feels like voodoo to him. And he said, I'm not just saying that because of your hair or whatever. It just, from his understanding, he doesn't know about benevolent beings dominating or taking over. And I said, I understand that because Stacey has said it to me quite a few times, you know what I mean? And I do respect what she's saying in terms of that, you know, but my experience is that, and when I'm having that experience, there's nothing about it that feels demonic. It feels they're not controlling me and getting me to do bad things, or they're not controlling me. Does that make sense? It's almost like they're showing me through them being in me what I should do or what I could do. Does that make sense? So he says to me, it seems like voodoo to him. He said, I could be wrong, but that's my vibe on it. And I said, well, if that's the case, I'd like to explore it, because if it is something working around me, and it wouldn't be abnormal, because part of this whole research is me researching voodoo too, because as far as I'm concerned, there's bare family members that I've been given downloads about, and ex-partners, and fucking frenemies, and people that I've met along the way, all the people that don't know me but don't like me either, want to be flinging fucking voodoo at me. And if that is the case, fine, because that would it would explain a lot why certain times I feel so blocked in my life. You know what I mean? And if I can get rid of a blockage, then I'm all about that. You know what I mean? I'm all about that. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. If it is voodoo, then I'm in the right place for them to get rid of it. And if it's not voodoo, then I know that I can go forward and trust 125%, even though I trust already. You know what I mean? Because there hasn't been anything that I've experienced that I could say has felt like it deliberately tried to harm me, apart from the things external to me, like the entity being in my house last year and harming me. You know what I mean? Or people sending evil light and bad-mindedness. But those are all external forces coming towards me. What I'm talking about is inner things. And the more that I've learned about African culture with an Ifi and an Ifa, they have this experience. So it could be that Jim, he's American, he's not even native to to it. But with all due respect, he has been in the game a while. You know what I mean? But a Peru shaman is very different from an African shaman. And what I've seen the other day in Africa is that they have these massive like straw suits that start dancing around and there's nobody inside of them. The straw suits are spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and dancing. And you can see underneath it to know that there's no legs going on. And these suits are spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, showing you that there are forces, energies, entities in other dimensions that are able to kind of act and move around in this dimension. You know what I mean? So I wasn't defensive with him. I just said, I'm open. Let's explore it. You know what I mean? Let's explore it. So, yeah, as I said, it's a win-win at the end of the day, because if I can get to know a little bit more about me and the world around me, then happy days. Happy days. So, yeah, it's just so peaceful here. Jim asked earlier on, is there anybody here that's an an empath? I don't know why I struggle saying that word. Basically, an empathist, yeah. And I put my finger up to say me, and he said me too. You know, like I really struggle. I can be in the group for a couple of hours, and then afterwards I've got to get away. I said I get it, because yesterday outside the hotel was a whole political fucking conference. The amount of people that was there, whistling, tooting, horns, banners, matching t-shirts. I mean, it was a whole thing. And after a while, I just said to Stacey, I've got to get out of here. This is way too much energy for me. And she was like, oh, we've got to work on that. And I said, oh, I am working on it. That's me leaving. You know what I mean? And Jim said it today, and he was just like, it's overload. I said, yeah, it's like autism. It's like autism. When autistic kids get overwhelmed and overstimulated, that's what it is. I said, but even for me, it's a little bit even worse, because I'm also a projector by human design, which means that the animals, the birds, the trees around me also affect me. I'm not just the empathist on human emotion. It's the whole fucking surroundings that interfere with me. You know. So I'm constantly having to alchemize, constantly having to regulate my energy, constantly having to check if these emotions are even mine in the first place, you know. Check my thoughts, check what I'm doing. So it's like I'm always on, man. Watching a TV program, if the TV program's negative, it will affect me. When we was in the ceremony, one of the guys started to cry, and I could feel his emotions, and I instantly wanted to go and get the tissues to give to him, and I thought, don't you dare move. If he cries, he cries. That's him. But then when he did actually start to cry, I felt like I wanted to fucking cry. So I had to turn around and put my back to him and just keep moving and just alchemizing myself, because it's not my story to be crying about. It's not my energy to be crying about, and I don't want to just be crying for the sake of fucking crying, because I've been doing nothing but crying all bloody day today, you know. So I've just got to learn to stand back a little bit more. I've also just got to learn to just give less fucks. I'm so trying. It's really hard as an empathist, because you do give a fuck. Probably always will give a fuck, but it's got to be balanced. But I'm going to get half an hour sleep and then go to meditation. I won't be able to record all the ceremonies and stuff like that, because it is very personal. I did speak to the group and Jim about it today. They're happy for me to record things that are just about me, but nobody wants their story recorded, and I wouldn't want to record anybody's story either, because this is not really about that. This is very much about my own journey into it, and then later on looking at qualitative research methodologies to see if I can gain access to other people's experiences, which I do believe I can, because from the gentleman from Brazil, he's done a master's on the use of ayahuasca. He's done a master's, and he was giving me some information of different types of researches and stuff like that. So I am looking forward to catching up with him a little bit later. So on that note, it's day 1, ceremony 1.